I've always had a problem with the piece because the story was so doggone confusing. Even as a student, I remember just ploring over the score and trying to figure out what went where and who and what was happening, and it was quite confusing, which makes this version even more interesting in this new version by Michael Kay. Finally, certain parts that have always been missing from the standard versions that we hear have been restored, and with that restoration comes much more lucidity in the storytelling, in the sense of the storytelling, so one can really follow from the beginning to the end a train of thought that goes through. So hopefully with this recording, it'll bring another dimension of enjoyment to the opera, something that has always been really fondly regarded as a tuneful work, but now it can be regarded as a coherent dramatic work as well. It really makes for a very different feeling, a different dramatic flow. When something doesn't constantly stop and then slip into a different medium and then restart again, one has the feeling that there's a fluidity, and time seems to go much faster. Even though in this version it has much more music, and in fact the length of the work is quite a bit longer than one normally hears. Because of the fluidity of this version, one gets the feeling that, in fact, time is passing very quickly. It changes dramatically, this whole last scene. In fact, I had worked on preparing this Giulietta scene quite a bit at the piano, because I didn't have the cast with me to work on it, and I don't have the capability of singing coloratura passages. So I was playing instrumentally the Giulietta score as I was learning it, using my imagination. But then once put it together with Sumi Jo and actually heard a human being performing the piece, it suddenly completely transformed the scene for me. It was I had to really forget what I had thought of, my preconceptions of the character of Giulietta, even the physical image that I had of Giulietta. All of that just went out the window. I had to completely rethink it, as I'm sure people will when they hear this particular version. It's a much more life-loving, energetic, multi-dimensional Giulietta than one ordinarily comes to see. So we had always thought that Hoffmann would be wonderful work to put on stage as part of the opening of this new opera house. But we had also always thought that we would do a Lyonnais arrangement of the Tales of Hoffmann, which was put on stage by Mr. Louis Herlot, to do a particularly Lyonnais version of it, using only scenes that Mr. Herlot felt that he wanted to use in order to put together his conception of what the feeling of the opera was. Mr. Herlot would oftentimes refer to his version as some Tales of Hoffmann, not the Tales of Hoffmann, in putting together the excerpts that he wanted to use. To do that, we felt, why not go back to what is now the most definitive source that we have available to us, the Michael Kay edition. Why not use that as a basis for putting together this Lyonnais version? And that was how I was introduced to the score for the very first time. Upon using that version, we were all of us, we were very delighted with how the orchestration felt. It was much more transparent, much more light, much more orchestral color. Built into it was a much more natural feeling of flexibility, and with flexibility, we felt came the ability to be much more expressive at the same time. So when eventually this stage performance went on to evolve as a recording project, as a lot of our works do here. They tend to orient from the stage or from a concert version given on stage eventually to find their way into a recording project. We thought about it quite carefully if we wanted to go to a more traditional form of the Tales of Hoffmann, and finally we decided no, it's been interesting, and we'd like to go ahead and challenge ourselves and go ahead and try to stay fidèle to this new critical edition. And I think today we finished the recording. I think everyone is very, very happy that we did, and more than that, excited about the new sounds that we discovered in this score. I'm very excited to share it with everyone else.